What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. After Sound here, bringing you Splinterlands content every single day. We also stream right here on this channel every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday morning. So come by and say hello. All right, guys. Well, I wanted to take a look at Chaos Legion and I guess its associated sets as well as Rebellion. And one of the things that really just stuck out to me, which I thought was worth sharing, and it's not necessarily great news, but we're going to spin it in a fun way in a minute, is the fact that it looks like Chaos Legion, the core set, has set a new all-time low, right? So I'm not talking about rewards, I'm not talking about Riftwatchers, but you can see here that the total set value is now just barely over $1,000. Okay, let that sink in for a second. Actually, the lowest we ever went was 1,022 on 420. Nice, but you know, the fact of the matter is, at this point in time, there's still 2 million, over 2 million unopened packs, and we have not yet gotten, you know, a wave of new players. The team has not done any marketing. But here's the interesting thing, right? I'm talking about the core set, but in doing a little bit more research, you go over to Riftwatchers, and this is where it hurts actually. Is Riftwatchers, if it will load, and it will not, there we go. Riftwatchers has also set a new all-time low. The total set value is now sitting at 1689, and you can see that this chart is very much down and to the right. So I would say the lowest that we saw here, probably a couple days back, 1665. Either way, right? It now costs what, less than $2,700 to jump into this set. Now, I think the reason that this is so fascinating and probably so disappointing is the fact that when the roles were reversed, when we were just a generation back, and Untamed was in this role, where it was the later or the older set in Modern, Untamed actually held its value quite well. It wasn't until Untamed rotated out and went over to Wild that we saw Untamed prices plummet. That being said, the one major difference, and the thing that we should call out there, is the fact that that happened, you know, well, I don't say around the same time, but it went over into Wild, which was dominated by bots, right? So the bot ban in Modern, or the human-only league, started in July, and then, you know, Untamed rotated out before the end of last year. So it was a couple of months apart, but still, it went into a format that has just been completely botted like crazy, right? And so therefore the meta is just all over the place. Ratings inflation is super high, and it makes me wonder, probably not in a good way, what happens to Chaos Legion once it leaves Modern format, right? We have about 15 months if, you know, we go by Matt's cycle of wanting to do like 18 months between core releases. I don't know if that is still the plan, but that would put us in July, or, you know, I will just say summer of 2025. And, you know, we're sitting here in April of 2024 at this point, with hopefully a bull run in front of us. But, you know, that being said, I've called Chaos Legion the lost set, but I also call it the land set, right? Because I don't know that there's any way to like save the value of Chaos Legion. I don't think it ever really goes back up from here. And I guess we can include Riftwatchers, sadly, in that now. The thing is, Riftwatchers is probably not going to be a land set, right? I think the cards there are probably scarce enough that that would never happen. But Chaos Legion core set, for sure, right? And we're not even talking about the reward cards, which are printed even more so in multiples of that. Sorry, the reward cards are printed in multiples of the core set. So what's interesting about this, and I've talked about it before, but just to kind of reiterate, if we look at the time frame here and think to ourselves, okay, Chaos Legion has about 15 months left in Modern format. In that 15 months, we are hopefully going to get probably another mini set, right, a la Riftwatchers, but this one for Rebellion. But looking specifically for utility for Chaos Legion, it's really just land. And obviously we're at an interesting place with land right now, where we're only at 20% utilization. So there is a lot of room, and this is why I call it the land set. But where we're struggling right now is in the fact that, you know, the team has prioritized the new player experience overland, and we have not gotten any elements of 1.6, right? The whole idea coming into 2024, at least the timeline in my mind, right? The team never really released a timeline, but I was thinking we would knock out 1.6 by the midpoint of the year and start getting 2.0 out by the summer, right? Or July, August timeframe, second half of the year. The fact that we have we have not gotten any parts of 1.6 in, and Farpetrot is no longer with the team, right? For people who may not be aware, that pushes that schedule back a lot, which means that utility for the Chaos Legion set is getting, this time frame of having additional utility before it potentially loses that going completely into modern, right? When we saw what happened with Untamed, I can't imagine what's going to happen to, I guess I can imagine what's going to happen to Chaos Legion by the time it rotates out of modern. But, that window of getting utility elsewhere before it rotates out is closing somewhat rapidly. Now, again, the team could choose not to, rotate it out. The team could choose to push back another core set, maybe another year or 6 months or whatever the case is. But obviously, with the timeframes that we have in our mind as of right now, that's where things are leaning, right? I'm looking at land 1.6, and based on roughly what the team is saying, maybe they get it out in the next 6 months, which would put it at Q3 or beginning of Q4 this year, so October, for them to get 1.6, at which point they start working on 2.0, and that would give them about 9 months, which isn't a short amount of time, but at the same time, like, land is not easy either, right? We saw just how long it took to get, it took essentially 9 months just to get 1.5 out, so when you talk about 1.6 and then 2.0, which is even more dramatically complicated, I don't know. I don't know what that looks like, but I'm just kind of thinking out loud here that I'm not trying to draw any conclusions. I'm just updating my assumptions in real time out loud with you guys in terms of like, where is this value? Where is this utility going to come in for our beloved Chaos Legion cards, right? The set that was printed to oblivion. And the truth is, I don't know. I don't know. Eventually it'll be land, right? And hopefully, like, it will never make any sense for anybody to use anything newer than Chaos Legion, right? Whether it's Riftwatchers, Rebellion, or anything that comes in the future, for them to use that on land. So at some point, we will soak up all those cards for land. But are we going to be able to do that and start doing that before we exit modern, or is there going to be a mass sell-off, right? And I don't know what Untamed used to be valued at, but obviously that's come down a lot. Let's see where it's at right now, if this will agree with me. Untamed is at 0. Okay, so we're not gonna go off of Splinter cards here because they don't have a value for Untamed. But hopefully Chaos Legion does not go to 0 once it rotates out of modern format. So just sharing that kind of timeline. Again, this is all unofficial. The team has not released anything, but they've just talked about certain time frames in the town halls and in public settings. But that's where I'm at with this right now. That the window is closing. And, here's the thing. When I talk about this stuff, for myself, I don't like I've said before, I don't invest in cards. So, and I'm not planning on selling my Chaos Legion cards anytime soon, right? Or any at all, right? Unless they do like 100x in their value, then yeah, I'll probably take a little bit off the top or something. But, for me, I bought them because I like playing with them. I don't have many like extra cards, right? That it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to flip these cards, or I'm holding them for the long-term value. No, I stopped doing that a long time ago. So even if the cards go to 0, it doesn't really matter to me because they'll still have utility playing the game in Wild, which oddly enough, I'm doing now, right? So I don't know. Maybe there'll be other formats that come up in the future, maybe other game modes. I think that would probably add a lot of value. But again, considering new player experience, considering land, and considering how resource strapped the team is in the time frame given, 15 months, I don't know. I'm not necessarily seeing the ability to add new game modes. Maybe, right? But we're not even accounting for the fact that there's going to be a Rebellion reward card set, right? New Soulbound reward card set. that there's going to be a Rebellion mini set probably at some point, maybe later this year or early next year. But yeah, ultimately, it's going to be an interesting way to go. I'm curious to hear your thoughts, though, and how you guys are thinking through this. And for those of you who are probably overexposed to Chaos Legion, I know that this has not been an easy time, but what is your game plan? Or have you given up? I'm just curious to get your thoughts. That is all I have for you guys in this video. I will catch you all in the next one and see you around the game. Take care.